Hi guys, thanks for coming.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Hi, Carissa, Daniel. First of all, happy 2024. And thank you so much for agreeing to join us on this Chess for Unity interview. Also, congratulations on getting first and third place titles at the U20 North American Junior Chess Championships. How have you been doing since then? Have you guys been playing any new tournaments?
Daniel, you want to go first?
Yeah. So yeah, after the tournament, I've been like more or less inactive. Like I've been spending some time, but I think like I've shifted to focusing more on like other activities like school and other things because there aren't any like important tournaments upcoming. So I'm spending my time more on other things and yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I took like a brief break and then I went and played in the Pan Am's Intercollegiate for Stanford's A team. Um, yeah, and we ended up finishing pretty well. We were like the top non-chess scholarship school. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. How did you do individually?
Okay, hang on, let me remember. So it was like 6 rounds and I sat out for 1 round. I think I got like 3.5 out of 5. Hopefully gaining rating, but
Oh, wow.
I think pretty close to like just like maybe like +1 or something.
What board did you play?
Oh, so we have a grandmaster here where he should be a GM now. He has last norm recently. Bryce Tygon, he's like from Seattle. Yeah. So he's our board one, but the problem was he got sick at the beginning of the tournament, and then I played like board one for pretty much almost all the tournament except for like the last 2 rounds.
Oh wow, 3.5 on
Oh,
board one. That's pretty impressive.
they probably played some GMs as well.
Yeah, I played one GM. We drew. He's like we played Texas Tech and then I lost to like some at like 2400. Yeah. But I won the rest of my games, so it was good.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Cool. Okay, so Eric and I today, for Chess for Unity, we're just gonna ask you a few questions about the tournament you played on the North American Junior U20 Championship. Um, so yeah, thanks again for coming. So I guess I'll start with Carissa. What were your kind of initial thoughts and emotions as you realized that you were about to win your last game and win the tournament?
Yeah, sorry, Daniel. So I'll say, yeah, so it was kind of like an interesting tournament to begin with because I lost my first round. And after I lost my first round, I think I kind of just like dropped all the expectations I had for the tournament as a top seed. And I was like, okay, I'm like pretty out of form and probably not going to win, but at least I can keep playing and hopefully try to gain some rating back. Um, so, playing, I keep winning my games, and then I start playing like, some stronger players. I'm still winning. And then comes to a point where like me and Daniel are facing off in the last round, and I think we had the same number of points then. And the problem was that like I knew that I couldn't really take a draw because otherwise my tie breaks would be really bad. Um, and so, but I felt like okay about it because I was like, okay, I guess the tournament has come down to like me needing to win this last game, which I thought was doable. But in the opening, I just like mixed up my lines and got like a really sad position. Um, and I was just like I was not happy at all, and I was spending like a lot of time figuring out what to do in the middle game. And I think I settled on this strategy of just waiting and waiting and seeing what was going to happen because you know, I'm not sure if you like remember Daniel, but I basically had um no like very viable plans.
Yeah.
And so I figured that I would sort of let you like dictate the course of the position up until there came a point in which I could hopefully have like a counter strike once things opened up a bit more. So yeah, I think I got my chance with this knight takes d5 move that I surprised you with. And it was even then I spent a long time on it, but I saw the move pretty quickly. But the problem was that I thought that it um it looked still pretty equalish. Um, but you know, my position was bad at that point, and so I figured I had to go for it. And there's still definitely chances for you um to mess up a bit. And yeah, I think there's just like a variety of ways to go into a rook endgame where I'm probably pushing, but um it's just like difficult to win. But you ended up getting into a lot of time pressure, and I think you chose like the wrong endgame to go into. Yeah. And sure, once we entered the endgame, I knew that it was just very good for me, and um yeah, I felt pretty good about the the position. I felt good about the game. And overall, I was like, this tournament was not a great tournament for me, but you know, I got the job done. So that's what matters.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I know that this might not be the best memory, but Daniel, do you have any thoughts on that last game that you played with Carissa?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like, I feel like I spent a lot of time like preparing and like spending all my like, all night just trying to work for this one game because it has a lot at stake. Like, I knew the importance of this game, and so it's a really memorable game. Yeah, like I also learned a lot of lessons from it. And during the game, I thought like out of the opening, I managed to gain this really comfortable position where I was in the driver's seat. I could choose what path, and like I pretty much could secure a draw. Like if I didn't like push for too much reason, like after some point, like Carissa gave me a lot of like too much like options. And then I started like getting overexcited about like what I could do. And so I ended up settling for this plan where I would try to expand on the king side quickly and go for some kind of like quick attack. Um, I thought it was like sound, but I completely missed like this knight takes d5, I think it was that like tactic. And it just overall, I feel like I was a bit like in a rush. Like I didn't look at the big picture. If I stepped back and looked at the game from a different angle, maybe I would have realized that this was not the right thing to do. Like maybe just staying, like continuing to keep the positions like structure and everything, I would eventually be able to like hold it, or maybe even like if things were to go in like my favor, I could gain like I could win. But I feel like the way I played it was way too hurried and ended up costing me the game. And so I feel like it's a deserved loss, but there's still a lot to gain from it.
I was actually looking at the game
Wait,
and
Daniel. Mhm.
go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Wait, I was gonna ask, did you expect me to play like this D6 Bishop D7 line?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking that you would play some like kind of a more dynamic sort of position where like there would be a lot more chances for both sides, like maybe some kind of like
Hmm.
Sicilian or something like that, I thought.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And then also, you went, did you know that like if you drew, I forget who ended up having better tie breaks. Eric, you did, right?
Yeah, actually, that was something I wanted to add. Like, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
really
Yeah.
hoping if you guys drew because my tiebreaks were pretty good as well.
Wait, were tie breaks like way better than ours? Or I just
No,
remember like mine was really bad, but
I think me and Daniels were pretty
Yeah.
close. He might
It
have been a
was
little bit higher. I wasn't sure,
around this
but
same.
yeah, it was around the same. But I just won the IM title honestly because
Yeah.
if you tie for first, all top three get IM titles. But you went for your GM norm and it paid off.
Yeah.
Okay, since you both
Yeah, I think only the top guy.
are like college students or high school students, and you've been studying at Stanford, which I know gives a lot of homework and stuff. What were your I don't know, like how do you like balance chess and studying extracurriculars?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely I would say the balance was a lot harder for me in high school. And I think in college there's a lot more flexibility. Like let's say for example, with going to play tournaments, um, it was actually really difficult to take time off of classes. But in college, like everything's professors are super flexible. You just have to like reach out, let them know about circumstances and stuff. So it's like easier for me to take like let's say like a couple days off to play sort of like 5 day like norm tournament or something along those lines. Whereas that was just like not very feasible in high school. Um, I would say with like in terms of studying and sort of keeping up to date with the game and all. That's just it's really hard for me to find time to do that. And definitely kind of like dropped it off a little bit since I think school started back up. But generally I just try and make time during, breaks, holidays, that sort of thing. If I have a bit of free time, I'll try, keep up with like the latest tournaments and just make sure that I don't slip too much. And so when I sort of get back into things, which is typically, around summertime for a couple months, I'll just play nonstop. Um, yeah, it takes a little bit of warming up, but eventually I think I get there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same situation for me. Like even though I'm still in high school, I try to maximize my efficiency for like chess so I can gain as much as I want to during the time I have. And it's also about like doing this like homework and assignments like quickly and effectively, which gives me more time to study chess and other extracurriculars that I want to do. And so this way, like I can still continue like improving my chess while like maintaining like good grades and stuff in school.
Oh yeah, I think you guys already answered this question somewhat, but do you guys study like any chess per day, or is it more just like if you have some time, some free time, you just do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
also just like having a bit of free time for me.
yeah, it's the same with me. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing. That was some good insight into how you kind of balance your extracurriculars. Um, Now next question I had for you guys is kind of on your like playing style because chess players are known for having kind of unique playing styles. And so would you guys say that you have um a playing style that you strive for or something that you think you identify with? And do you intentionally try to employ that style in every game?
Oh, Daniel, you can go.
Okay, sure. So I feel like when like a year ago or like maybe a while back, like when I was lower rated, right after the pandemic, like I didn't really have like a fixed playing style. So I kind of just like went with the flow. I just however the position went, I would go for. This ended up giving me a couple of strong like wins against grandmasters even. Like I managed to like I play it really risky, but like in a complicated way where both sides would have opportunity to win. And this actually gave me a lot of rating, and this helped me a lot into like getting the FIDE master title. But once I got to like a certain level, I realized that this style would be too it cost me too much if I were to like lose an important game. And so I decided that I would have to start like finding like a better, like more controllable and like manageable style. And so I've been striving to like play more positionally and like take less risks and make less of these like play into more like yeah solid and less dynamic, maybe a bit more easy for me to control. And so nowadays I'm just trying to like move into this new style, and yeah, and that's how I'm like moving on.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I'd say probably for me, my style hasn't really changed much since I was a kid. So I've always been a very like I think dynamically inclined player. So I'm into, like sharp positions, open positions, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, I just think that's like my style. That's what I do best at. Probably, um, stuff like positional play or like slow chess doesn't come as naturally to me. Um, so yeah, I think I'm very much into sort of like a more like rapid sort of style of
Mhm.
chess where, things change quickly and you have to adapt to that quickly too. That sort of deal.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Carissa, this question's for you. After losing your first round, how did you like mentally like how did you mentally adjust to like stay focused for your next 8 rounds? Because I know like with some chess players, like if they lose a round, they go on tilt or like they lose the next few. So how are you able to like adjust to play your
Hmm.
best to the next two?
Yeah, for sure. I would say like um this is definitely like I feel like a hard concept for like non-chess players to grasp almost. But it's like I feel like losing a chess game just like really, really sucks, like unbearably so sometimes. I'm sure you guys can relate, and it's like a little silly because like you're like this is just like a chess game, like it's never that serious. But it feels that serious, you know? Um, and but for some reason for me, like after this game, I wasn't really feeling that same way, and I think this was because I just thought like I didn't play a very good game. I made many mistakes, and you know, I kind of just like ended up getting outplayed by like the 1700, which is kind of embarrassing. But that's just how it was. Like I didn't have good time management, that sort of thing. Position got too complex, and I just like didn't have that sort of time to figure it out. And so I was more like, I think I get tilted a lot more when it's a game that I felt that I should have won and I didn't. And this game, I was just like, I didn't think that I had like that many chances. So, um, yeah, I was definitely very unhappy afterwards still, um, but I think I had like a lot of time to sort of cool off afterwards. Because I lost my first game, everyone else that I played was not going to be super strong. And so I don't think I played like a 2200 until maybe like very late into the tournament. Um, and that time to sort of process and like move on helped a lot, I think.
Yeah, I can actually relate to this fact. If I was like losing an entire game and lost, it's usually a lot less painful than if you're like winning and then you lost. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. I have a question for Daniel. So I saw in one of your games your opponent flagged in a drawn position.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, I think like that was really lucky, but on the other hand, I feel like it kind of paid off like my strategy going into that game. Like I knew I was in the lead. I needed to play like into like a more solid position where I could control things. Like I mentioned with my style earlier, and so I knew he was going to be preparing for my like open Sicilian, like this sharp Najdorf position where he would like be very comfortable in. But knowing that, I realized that it was like a perfect moment for me to surprise him with like another opening. And so I played the Alapin instead, taking inspiration also from a game that my friend played and actually like he won. I think Eric, yeah, against Eric.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so playing that, I thought, yeah, I could control like the situation and it ended up giving me like a very drawn position. He eventually he over pushed and gave me an opportunity to like gain winning chances, and so I kept playing on. I wasn't really expecting anything, but when he flagged, I thought this is like kind of just like the luck in my favor. Like I think everything led up to this one moment where he flagged. Like everything was going so well, and just it kind of just went my way as well. So I think that was kind of just like a byproduct of how everything was going.
Of course, luck is also a factor of chess tournaments. Okay, so in this tournament, what was your most memorable game and why? I think for Daniel, honestly, it's not flagging, but what were yeah, if it's anything else, what was your most memorable game?
I think definitely the last game against Carissa because that game was like a very important game for me, and so I'll definitely remember that game for a very long time. It has a lot of meaning, value, and things that I can gain from it. So
Yeah, I would also say probably my last game against Daniel, although there are a bunch to choose from. But, yeah, everything was at stake in that game. And, I think I didn't play my best. Um, but it kind of showed me that sometimes, uh, sorry, Daniel, no hate. I don't mean this in like a mean way. But I think like sometimes you can sit around and then people will make their own mistakes. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
mm,
Sometimes I feel like I really have to like push for a win in a, like a position. Um, but also like for example, this Tyler, I should have done against like the 700. Like I should have just stayed chill and then let him like make a mistake on his own.
Um, Very cool. Yeah. And just to add on a like an add-on question. So as you guys were kind of preparing for that last round, obviously you guys were probably under a lot of pressure, knowing what was at stake. So how do you guys like kind of mentally prepare for that game where you're in a situation where you know like it's very important. So what do you do to calm yourself?
Daniel, you can take it.
Yeah. So I haven't been in like this really like difficult like situation where everything is at stake. Like I've been playing a lot of chess, but I've never really had a like situation where so much was at stake. And so this is kind of like a first time experience for me. Like I know Carissa like definitely have like you've played much bigger tournaments than I have with much more at stake. But for me, like I feel like this was kind of like a first time experiencing this sort of emotion, but I think I managed it quite well. Like I tried to prepare enough, but not to the point where I was too tired. I tried to like keep my mind clear, sleep well, and just like eat well and just feel okay and just go into the game without too much expecting too much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. I think that's how it should be done. I also, yeah, I didn't spend too much time prepping. But yeah, eat well, sleep well, make sure like physically really in your best shape. You know, you're not too groggy during a game, that sort of thing. And overall, yeah, just like had to trust in my chest and that everything would, work out.
That's nice to hear. In your opinion, what was your biggest strength and weakness in this tournament?
Um, Probably, I'd say, yeah, maybe like my biggest strength was just like sort of the ability to like bounce back after a bad loss. And also, I guess this ties into I think like my weakness during the tournament was definitely just that I was like not playing I thought like my best chess. I just wasn't playing at my level. And there would be like other games where I felt that I would be much better, like totally winning, and then I would blow it a little bit, like slip up and allow a draw. I was very lucky that like I was very fortunate that my opponents never really saw, and so I'd be able to get away with it. But yeah, I think it's just like knowing that I'm not playing well and not letting that sort of affect me anyway. I think it's probably like an important skill to have to know that you're like a little out of shape. You're like trying your best to get back into shape, but it's like very difficult to do with just like a couple of days. Um, and so you just sort of have to like try your best anyway.
For me, I feel like my biggest strength in the tournament was probably like controlling the situations against like in the round eight against Aaron. I managed to like surprise him with the Alapin and get a really comfortable position. Um, as well as like the last round, like I controlled it pretty well up into a certain point. As well as other games in the tournament. Like I never was in danger of throwing away anything. Like just my ability to like play into these solid positions, I feel like it gave me a lot of points, even though they might have been like lucky, like the flag. But I feel like still, like this was a strength that I definitely did well in the tournament. But I think one of the weaknesses I had was like unable to like convert like a winning position or a better position. Like in round, I think it was like round 4 or 5. I was playing against like a 1900 up 2 pawn, like completely dominating position, but I somehow just couldn't find the win. Like I had so much, I could do like so many things, but I couldn't find a decisive way to win the game. And I almost ended up like throwing the game away. He had an opportunity to like hold a draw, but he missed it, which was lucky. And this is also true in like round 9, where I just couldn't find a way to like continue on my advantage, and I ended up losing that. And, yeah. So that was the weakness.
Thank you, thank you. Just a quick note. Our Zoom meeting only has 4 minutes and 40 seconds left because we don't have like the Zoom upgrade. So gonna go a little quick here, but I do have an add-on question for Carissa. So I know a lot of us when we play tournaments sometimes we like notice we're in bad shape. So like how do you kind of how do you approach that? Because I know for me, especially when I'm in bad shape, I will play every move and I will overthink every move, take 10 minutes. Like, am I playing the wrong move again? Am I doing something bad again? So how do you kind of combat that and bounce back?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting for me because when I overthink, I end up just playing like the wrong moves. And so, when I'm like not at the board, I'm like trying my best to get back into shape, that sort of thing, doing like a bit of training here and there, when there's some time between rounds. But when I'm at the board, I just kind of like, I think psychologically, confidence is such a big thing, and you just have to like trust in the moves that you're playing. And so, that's sort of just what I try to do. I good time management, um, feel confident, like to know that, maybe I'm not in my best shape, but I should still be better than like a 1900, that sort of thing.
Mhm. All right. As a final question, do you guys have any future chess goals? And what would you say to those aspiring chess players that are watching this interview?
Yeah, can you repeat that? Because I think you cut out a little for me.
Okay. As a final question, do you guys have any future chess goals? And what would you say to those aspiring chess players who are watching this interview?
Yeah, so I'd say probably my main future goal right now is to get the GM title eventually. Not sure how long that'll take, but I have a few years left of college and hopefully I can do it before I graduate. Um, for aspiring chess players watching this interview, um, I don't know. I would say like don't be too hard on yourself. I think chess players have this thing where they put a lot of pressure on themselves unnecessarily. Maybe that's just like a shared feature amongst a lot of people when you're like playing in like a very stressful situation like this. But yeah, I think again, just less pressure always just kind of like makes your chess better anyway in the long run.
Yeah. I think my like future goal or next goal would be to become an international master. Hopefully before like university starts. Uh, and yeah, I think it's definitely attainable if I work hard and like play the right tournaments and everything. Yeah. And for future aspiring chess players, I think like one kind of like piece of like an interesting insight I would say is like every tournament you kind of have this like the bag of like luck, like how much of the luck you have in the bag sort of determines like how well you'll play in the tournament. And so like if you aren't playing well, maybe it's just that you haven't used up your luck yet. And so don't like be too hard on yourself. Don't like beat up yourself. Like just wait for the right moment, and maybe the luck you'll be able to use that luck in the next round. And so yeah.
All right. I really hope you guys achieve those goals very soon. Um, well, I think that's it. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah. Yeah.